is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Sunday evening. I hope that y'all are feeling all right. All of us are frustrated. And you know what? That's a sign of being a winner. Like, you shouldn't take losing lightly. It shouldn't just be okay to lose. It definitely shouldn't be okay to get embarrassed at home versus an in-state rival. Not the way that we did. There's really not a lot that's okay about it. Obviously, there's maybe could be like some silver linings in certain things, but I just feel like I don't even know how to feel, which is why I'm doing this. I want to see how everybody else feels. I want to get some of, other people's thoughts. I really want for y'all to chime in. We're going to be very heavy in the chat. I got a lot of different things that we could talk about. Obviously, with the season pretty much being over, we got one more ball game left. So, we got some type of, bowl game. I think it's probably going to be the Gator Bowl. I don't know. I've seen Georgia Tech. I've seen Miami possibly, but I think Miami might make it to the college football playoffs. So, I mean, look, I don't know who all wants to talk about that, but obviously, too, we have National Signing Day, like the early signing day. That signing period starts on Wednesday. I think it ends on Friday. That's something that we could talk about, something for us to look forward to. We got the portal opening up. At this point, really, it's all about making some changes. It's all about getting deals done for your current roster. Who do you want to hold on to? Can we get those deals done? Will there have to be some type of coaching changes for us to hold on to certain players? And I'm just going to say this to y'all very quietly. That's something that I have heard. Something that I've heard from some players, or about some players on this team that maybe they don't like certain coaches. I've heard that on not just with people on this team, but people coming up. Heard it in some different areas. Need to make some changes. Coach Heupel has to step up. Period, point blank. He's going to have to step up. He's going to have to do some of the tough stuff. We got the kind of like NFL draft stuff. I mean, obviously the draft isn't coming up here necessarily soon, but, we got some players that can maybe opt in for the draft and won't be coming back next season. We talked about it some earlier today. It's going to be, I think, several players that opt out of our bowl game. I think there's going to be a lot of players that opt out of that. I don't know what we're going to do. Like Colton Hood, I just throw that name out there. I don't think Colton Hood's going to be playing in this bowl game. So who's going to be the other corner? Is it William Wright with Tyler Redmond? Or is it somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do moving forward? It's because we haven't done the best job of building up depth at corner. I know that we lost some guys. I fully understand. Trust me when I tell you, I fully understand it, okay? Like, yeah, we lost some players, but you still got to have depth. Like, you still got to be able to build that up. There are so many things that I'm frustrated with from this staff. I don't really know where to start off at. I don't really know what topic we should kind of like kick things off with, but maybe what I'll do is just take a look at this poll. We got this poll up right now for y'all to vote on. Who needs to change first is my question. Is it Coach Heupel? Nobody thinks it's Coach Heupel, 0%. Nobody that's voted is saying Coach Heupel. Is it Tim Banks? Most people are saying that. That's right now at 68%. Is it the strength staff? 23% say that, and then other, only 5%. So everyone's sold on Coach Heupel. I've seen some things out there that maybe Penn State's really trying to make a run at Coach Heupel. I don't know if he would want to make that move. Maybe he does. I don't know if that's the best situation because think about it. Like you're going to the Big Ten. Pennsylvania's got some good players. You can get really good players in that like little area. But, I mean, you're going up against Ohio State, which is probably that's tough. Going up against Michigan, that's tough. I'm not like I was pulling for Penn State whenever they had Coach Franklin, who coached my younger brother P. I was happy to kind of like cheer for them then. I ain't cheering for them now. I ain't cheering for none of the Big Ten. There's not a Big Ten team that I'm cheering for. The Cornhuskers with my dog Dylan playing quarterback. Love him, man. Love his whole family. I think he's a really, really good guy. Sounds like he's probably leaving. I would cheer for them, but now I don't have any reason necessarily to cheer for them either. So I hope that the whole Big Ten, there's not a team out there that I feel like I could root for. growing up, I kind of like USC. I'm not trying to get too far off topic, but anyway, the whole point is, you know, will Coach Heupel go to Penn State? I don't think so. I think he's going to be fine where he's at. He may be trying to get some more money. Would you give him more money at this point with what they just showed out there? A lot of folks are going to say no. But guess what? Who are you going to go hire? Like, if he really wants to get serious about that conversation, who are you going to hire as your head coach right now? You know, Lane Kiffin goes on to LSU. Like we said, signing day starts on Wednesday. What about guys like Tristan Keys? He's from Mississippi. He chose LSU before with Brian Kelly's staff. Brian Kelly can't coach. Lane Kiffin can coach. He can coach. Would he make the flip? Who all will we hold on to? Alex Golish going to Auburn. Happy for him. Proud of him. I think he's going to do well there. Is Rodney Garner going with him? Possible. Is he going to take some other folks with him too? It's possible. You know, whole lot of changes coming, y'all. Like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening. But let me go ahead and tap into this chat because I've kept y'all waiting more than long enough. I just wanted to kind of warm y'all up. Let the chat start to flow in. So this first one from Chuck B saying, "Go Big Orange." Anyway, yeah, I feel you. It's always GBO. I think that's Lowe's. This one from Smokey Payton saying that Tim Banks needs to go back to Michigan. Is he from Michigan? Or maybe he is from Michigan. I know that he coached at Penn State. A lot of folks are saying he might follow James Franklin. You know what, man? I was standing up for Coach Banks, and not even just for the sake of standing up for him. But I'm really not the type that wants to fire people. I was standing up for him just on principles of his defense. You could tell what he's trying to do from a scheme standpoint, and I felt like he would make some changes like we've talked about. Coming into the season, you got your two starting cornerbacks out, two of the best. I think it was the best tandem for sure. One of the probably top three cornerback tandems in the whole country. Lose those two guys, and then you lose two of your best defensive tackles. We said it all preseason, all offseason. We know that we got three guys up there. Two of them went down. Now, we felt like we had some younger guys that could step up, but we just hadn't really seen it. So if you don't know, you just don't know. So really tough, kind of like starting the season off. But I think that the icing on the cake for me, because I've seen some things like, okay, well, maybe you could have, I see what you're doing, but it's like trying to get from point A to point B. I mean, go in a straight line. You don't got to zig and zag and do everything else or like whatever. And zigging and zagging because you're trying to make it a perfectly straight line. You know how you can't draw a straight line perfectly, right? It's like he was trying to do some of that, and it might have been causing some issues. But at the same time, I think that the personnel wasn't the best. We had some young guys that, you know, we kind of talked about it. Not so much on the defensive line, but some of those guys. But I think specifically at linebacker and even in the secondary, some young guys that we knew, man, from a skill standpoint, they're probably better than the veterans. It's going to take them some time to get it figured out. Last night, last game of the season, we've seen some of these guys playing. Some of the other ones we haven't seen. We see that they've got it figured out well enough. All right, and if they don't have it figured out, then that's on you as a staff to not have them up to speed because you know that you need them. Okay, that's one part of it, and you know I could talk about that for days, but just to make a very long story short, I guess I'm not. Yeah, I'm at a point that some changes have to be made. Some changes have to be made, and I don't know if it's on Coach Banks necessarily or about who's out there playing the most and who's starting, how the rotation goes. It might be on the individual, like whatever coach, linebacker coach, corner coach, safety coach, whoever, defensive line coach. But yeah, that's been off. Been a whole lot of things that have just been off. I'm really pretty adamant at this point about the strength staff needs to get upgraded. I don't want anyone to get fired. But really, I was like, nah, like we can make some tweaks. I'm at a point now where it's like, bro, what's the point making tweaks? Let's just go get people who we know can get it done. Do we have the funds to do it? I don't know. But if we do have the funds, then let's just go do that. Because we don't have time to keep messing around. Coach Heupel don't have time to keep messing around. I can tell you that right here, right now. Love him. I think he's done great things for this university. I sincerely mean that. but it's still bottom line stuff. Bottom line is we have the resources, okay? The talent is a lot better than what it was. The offense, to me, it's had its couple of years at 21, 22. Folks couldn't figure it out. 23, 24, they really figured it out. We changed some things. It worked for half of the season. The back half, they sitting on everything. So I am a little bit concerned, and I'm wondering, do we just need like an entire overhaul of the offense, or can we make some tweaks there? Now, I think that we can add some plays, but really, it's a mindset thing, because how do you come into a year and not know that, oh, well, we're going to do this and it's going to work, and not have the presence of mind to think about what are the counters? What are the counters? We don't have them on offense. We just don't have them. Folks are looking at the offensive line and say, oh, man, the offensive line is not good. I fully understand why you would say that. Go in here, watch the film, and I see, okay, well, because watching it live, I kind of felt that too, man. The offensive line is getting beat. But then you watch the film and you're like, well, wait a second. The offensive line, they're blocking their people. Like, they're getting to their spots, and they're doing a good job. They're getting movement. There are people that are unblocked that we haven't counted for. That's a scheme problem more than anything. There are several problems, and I didn't want to jump off the ledge. I'm not trying to, do all that, but there are several layers to it, and we'll get into it. We got a long off season, man. We spent this previous off season going through all this stuff. We about to have to do it again. But the difference has to be making the necessary changes, and not necessarily always wholesale changes, but in some spots, kind of wholesale changes. Inside of the transfer portal, we better go get some folks. You better, dadgum, whatever you got to do, you better figure it out. You better hold on to the players that we really need inside of this class and understand how much you can pay for certain players, because you need the money for the portal. Because next season, I'm telling you, Coach Heupel, I'm not saying that he will get fired after next year, but if it's another season like this, his butt's going to be real hot. I love Joey Aguilar. I think he's done some great things too. But I'm going to tell you, I would like to find a quarterback that can read the field better and is also more of a threat with their legs, because I think that we need that. With this system, either that or the system's got to have a total overhaul, especially in our running game. But let me tap back into the chat. Let me get to some more of what y'all are saying. Okay, so this one, sitting at the last 15 games versus ranked opponents, 3-13, only beat Bama and Iowa since 2022. That's a really, really good stat. Obviously, it's good for you to bring it up. It's a bad stat for us. I think that we all see it. Okay, so from Chatsworth saying that the thing that I thought about is second half adjustments are not the staff strength, and it showed. Yeah, and it's something that I talked about. If you can adjust, I don't want to say that I'm just gonna keep it real. That's a problem. I'm just gonna call it out. I'm want to try to be as like kind of like nice as I can, but like I'm just gonna call it like I see it, because I think it's time for that now. That's a problem, bro. That's a problem. You need to be able to adjust. Second half teams means that they're well coached, and y'all know that I hate Georgia, and I hate bringing this up, but look at what Georgia does in the first half versus the second half, and look at what their win-loss total is. Y'all all know, because they were really close versus pretty much everybody. Should have lost almost every game this season. Almost every game. They were close enough that I could have won either way. They're not some juggernaut, but in the second half, they pull away. I would love to know what the point total difference is from them in the second half versus what it is in the first half. They're probably losing. Like, if you were to go and look at their first half numbers versus whoever, versus every team for the past probably 3 years, they're probably either very close to being even or they're losing in the first half. But in the second half, it's probably a huge margin. That's the difference. I hate having to say it, but it's true. So Chatsworth is also saying that he's still optimistic for next year due to the incoming class, Heupel's best rated class. Yeah, it is right now. So it's ranked at number 10. We can actually pull that up. Let me see how this poll is looking right now, because we got some more chats coming in. Hey, look, y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out in a very, very, very major way. So right now, we've got 65% saying that Tim Banks is the change that needs to happen. 20% says the strength staff, 10% says it's Heupel, and 4% says other. Now, I was very vague with the type of change that I'm talking about. I didn't say fire. It could mean some tweaks. You know what I mean? But they only give me 4 options, so I would have put more, but I had to work with what I'm given. So either way, a lot of folks out on Tim Banks. I'm gonna get to some more. So I see that we got some members chiming in. This one from Vol Outlaw. Thank you for being a member, sir. So I would add to Banks being gone first. Hypo needs to be stronger and tougher, both on the sidelines and in press conferences. Need to see the dog in him. Yeah, I think that that's an excellent point, and it's something that I've been thinking about it. P and I talk about it all the time, but I was literally like before I started the stream thinking about it. Yeah, is it something that he can change? Because I mean, he's an older gentleman, obviously. Going to be kind of like setting his ways is all that I'm trying to say with that. He's used to doing things a certain type of way. He's not going to be changing too much. So you either got that at this point or you don't. So what can he do? Can he go hire somebody who can be that guy for him? I think a lot of us have been saying that, right? Like I've seen a lot of people saying that. P says it all the time. Go and hire somebody who can be the bad guy. Like good cop, bad cop. You got to go hire somebody. And maybe it's the defensive coordinator. Because maybe he cuts ties with Tim Banks. I don't know what he's going to do. But somebody's got to go. You don't give up 300 yards rushing at home to an in-state rival and things stay the same. Unless Hypo just wants to leave. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a type of personality, man. Like it really, really is. And I love Coach Hypo. I want to hold on to him. I want him to do well. I want everybody on this staff, on this team, from it, like on any part of the team to do well. I really do. But if the chances have been given, this is year 5. You know, some people just might have to go at this point. That's just what it is. Some people just might have to go. Okay. All right, cool. So this next one from my dog, Andrew, saying that Banks either needs to change his system or needs to hit the road. Got to understand your players and play to their strengths. Simplify if you have young kids that can't handle complicated schemes. Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at. It doesn't really matter how you cook the meal. I don't need to know how you slaughter it. Just bring me the meal prepared. And if I'm going to be a critic about it, it needs to be cooked well. You know what I'm saying? Like not well done if it's a steak or something. But I'm just saying like it needs to taste good. It needs to be a full course meal. And I don't even care how you got to the end result. Just get there, right? It's bottom line for me, dog. I don't care about nothing else. It's about the bottom line. Okay, so I am going to tap back into the chat. But let me, real quick, I wanted to also take a look at our class. Okay, so I can pull this up real quick. So this is from On 3, 2026 class. We're currently ranked 10th nationally, which would be Coach Hypo's highest ranked class. It's possible that we could add some players and that goes up some, but we've made some strides. In the SEC, we're currently 5th. It's crazy how that works. But I'm going to let y'all kind of marinate on these numbers real quick. And I'm going to tap back into the chat because I see that there's a lot of things coming in. I really wish it. Let me see if I can make this bigger because it is hard for me to see some of this stuff as I'm trying to read it off. So we'll do it this way. Okay. It pushed me all the way down to the bottom, and there's a lot coming in. All right, so just give me a second. Okay. So this one right here from Smokey Payton saying that Hypo needs to step his game up. I'm right there with you. From Poleman saying Bob Chesney at JMU. I'm not sure who that is, or I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Maybe he's a guy. What is he, a defensive coordinator that you're looking out for? I don't know that I want a guy that came from one of those types of places. Let me just tell you that, and I'm gonna come right back to this chat. But let me just say that I'm not in the group of hey, let's fire Banks and just go get anybody, because just anybody ain't gonna be better. I promise you. Defense is hard to coach. It's very hard to coach, especially on this level. The defenses have to be somewhat complicated. Geniuses can make something that's complicated simplified. So that's what I'm more looking for. Make it easy on the players. They don't need to know every single. Just make sure that they know what their rules are and that it's easy for them. I think that there's some really good defensive coordinator options out there, but it's big time names like the guy that was at Penn State this past season. I don't know what he's going to do, but I would go get him. like one of those kind of like veteran guys that their defense has been good for decades. You know, like they know how to change things up, but they've also seen enough football to know, oh, so this team's running whatever, you know, they're running you know, trips right or something, like whatever type. They're running something and it's giving how we want to run our defense trouble. Well, I already know what the answers are to that. See what I'm saying? And they can just get the message to the players and make it simple. And also to like the other coaches on the staff, because those are the ones that are really teaching everything to the individual players. That defensive coordinator teaches it to the linebackers coach, secondary coach, defensive line coach, and then they get that message to their players. So it's got to be simple for the coaches to understand it first. And then you also need some other coaches that are good at getting the message. And what do y'all think about Coach Garner? What do y'all think about the defensive line? Because one sack last night, that ain't good enough for me. I mean, what we've done for the second half of the season and what we've done for the past few seasons in big games versus good teams versus the best teams, not good enough. There's a problem. It could be with the scheme, could be with some of the coaching, could be for this year. Maybe some folks are tapping out because I do think Coach Garner might be leaving. I'm kind of like leaning more towards he might be going. I can share this with y'all. I had heard that Coach Garner might be leaving before the season even started. Like, this is something that we've been hearing about since like a while ago, you know? And then like there's just more smoke now. So I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up leaving. Okay, so we're gonna come right back to all that. Let me jump back in here and try to get to what more people are saying. So Wesley says that we need Banks and the OC gone. So Halsley, so you want to see Halsley gone too? I would love to know who's calling the plays, because this is still Heupel's offense. I don't think that offense has enough plays. It doesn't feel like it does. Like we said, you got to have counters and stuff. We don't have that. Like, you should have it inside of your playbook that whatever a team is doing, there's an answer, right? It's been way too many times that we have not had answers. I don't think that the playbook is big enough. It's like a little bit more than like high school level, in my opinion. Might be like right at high school level, in all honesty. It's probably a little bit more now that we added some stuff to it. But that veer and shoot, bro, that might have been less than a lot of high school offenses. Like, I know my nephew Bray plays at Buford. I'm sure their playbook is bigger than Tennessee's was since Coach Heupel has been here outside of this season. The whole point, you got to add some stuff. Like, that's why I said that I am concerned. Because I don't know if your style of offense is one set way that's very gimmicky, tough to just, like, it's about mindsets. I don't know if the mindset's going to be right for what we need. You can run the gimmicky stuff, but you got to have the counters. That's why I'm more of, if we're going to go get an offensive coordinator, I love the pro-style types of things, or coaches that have been to the NFL, because you have to do that. You have no choice. Like, you'll go 1 week, you'll do some good stuff. That's whatever you did last week. I promise you it ain't going to work in that second week. Not as well. It don't take long. The NFL stands for not for long for a reason. So I'm just saying, like, I am concerned. It's not like panic mode. I'm not saying that, but I am very concerned in, can we really get these things done? But if it's Heupel calling the plays, are you saying that he needs to stop calling plays? I know a lot of folks have said that. I don't know, because it feels like there are some times when the rhythm of the play calling is different, and I've always thought to myself that that's Heupel calling plays versus Halsley. Whenever stuff starts to get weird, I just, inside of my mind, I'm like, well, this is Coach Halsley calling plays now. And not to pick on him. I have no real information on who is calling it, but I think it's pretty split, because it's not, there's some consistently stupid things that we do for, I think, whoever the two people calling plays are, but it's not, the rhythm does kind of get off. And sometimes it's like more stupid than other times, if that makes sense. Okay. So Joey Halsley ain't no play caller. Okay. Chatsworth is saying that he thinks some people say fire Banks because they've heard others say it. I feel the same way. I sincerely do. I think that there's a lot of that. There's a lot, especially on social media with some of the content that y'all see out there. I promise you, there are people that literally just spend their time seeing what fan bases are saying, and they make content based off of what people are saying. And there's no real necessarily, like, there might be some truth to it, but it's not all the facts. It's just some of it. And I don't like to live that way. I want to give as much of the truth as I know to everybody. and just give you all sides of things, which is why sometimes I just keep on going back and forth because I'm very much about balance, you know. But yeah, I'm the same way, but at the same time, if we can upgrade there, then yeah, why not upgrade there? If we can upgrade anywhere, why not upgrade anywhere? That's where I'm at. That's where Hypo needs to be at too. He needs to be very cutthroat. You can say what you want about Lane Kiffin. I know a lot of folks don't like him. What I like about him personally is that he is he's going to do what it takes to win. Sometimes I think he takes that too far. I don't like what he did to Tennessee, obviously. But I think that he likes Tennessee. He brings Tennessee up any chance that he gets. If Tennessee was in a coaching search, and if it was Tennessee versus LSU, guess what? I think Lane Kiffin comes back to Tennessee. I really do over LSU. And LSU, that was a no-brainer. And it's something that we told our members like a week ago or whatever. Like, we already knew that he was leaving Ole Miss. But there is a very big common sense element to that, right? Like, you're not going to be able to, like, your ceiling at Ole Miss is limited. At LSU, there isn't a ceiling. It's uncapped. So, yeah, I want to throw that out there. But, yes, Coach Hypo needs a little bit of that. Not a whole lot, but just like that dude that sprinkles that salt, sprinkle some of that Lane Kiffin a-hole on the Coach Hypo, and I think that we'd be fine. He don't need a ton, but just enough to get us over this hump. And maybe it starts to come out now because I know he's got dog in him. I just need to see it on a more consistent basis. All right, so this one from Michael saying the thoughts on does the defense make adjustments at halftime? I mean, look, the defense is not as bad at that as the offense is. The offense is horrible at it. The offense does not adjust. Doesn't adjust. The defense will change some things. My biggest gripe with the defense, like I said earlier, and maybe you missed it, Michael, is overly complicated systems that – so let me try to break this down, hopefully as quickly as I possibly can. Whenever you're playing defense, you have automatic checks a lot of times. So if an offense lines up a certain way, let's just say we called cover one, so we're playing man, but then they shift and they do something else. Well, they might shift to a cover three look. Okay, well, the offense knows that, hey, in this look, the defense is going to shift to cover three, and then they run a cover three beater. What Coach Banks does, I think, is he tries to, hey, this is going to be cover three, but with way too many rules that if, they run certain routes, it turns into cover two or something. So what I'm saying, like, hey, you might be blitzing in this situation, but then you might be dropping into a deep third. That's what I'm saying. It's overly complicated. That works in the NFL. It can work in college too, but it typically doesn't work with a younger team. Which someone else pointed out. You have to know your personnel. You got a young team. You got first-year players. Dumb it down and just roll with what you roll with. If an offense knows what you're in, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, coach the guys up to make the tackles, to punch the football, and to be able to read those concepts. I want to see more of that. But they will make changes. It's just that their changes from the first to the second half, I think, are probably super complicated. And it's going to be tough for the average player to get that figured out. That's just the way that I see it. Okay, so Smokey Payton is saying yes. All right, Los right here is saying that the line lost due to numbers, too many to block. Yep, so that's what irritated Los, and that Hype didn't run any plays to take advantage of the field. That's a fact. That's a 100% fact. I have nothing to even add to that. That's just very, very factual. Okay, so FS all day saying that we lost a lot of people on the defensive side. The portal needs to have dogs. We lost 4 potential All-Americans on defense alone. That's very true. That's another one. It's a fact. And I'm right there with you. And I think that what you're maybe saying, that I hate to put words in people's mouth. So if I'm wrong, tell me that I'm wrong. But what I'm taking from what I just read there is you feel like we need to have some grace with Coach Banks. I'm not mad at you for that because I could see it that way too. Yeah, maybe have a little bit of grace. But like I said, the part that really frustrates me is we've got to the end of the season. We know what the personnel looks like. We know we know who our best players are. And we played up against a Vanderbilt team that, like, you can't talk about talent because the talent gap from our defense versus their offense, 27 blue chips for our defense, 4 for their offense. And I get it. They've got some veterans. They got Pavia, who really good player, but even still, they made you look real silly. So that's why I'm like, I'm about run out of patience because one thing I can't stand is losing. I can't stand losing. Sometimes y'all don't always see that. Maybe y'all have noticed it some. I don't think that you've even seen like a fraction of how much I cannot stand to lose. P's the same way. Bray's the same way. Cason's the same way. Everybody on this channel, we hate losing. It's just that's just like runs inside of our veins. So yeah, if we had to make the changes, then we just have to make the changes. And I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, bro, but I'm just saying from the coaching side of things, from the people that are running our program side of things, I don't give a damn about the excuses. I don't give a damn. Make it happen. Fix it. Figure it out. That's what y'all are there for. And if you can't do it, then go somewhere else, and we'll find somebody who can get it done. I'm not being super quick to fire folks because I know that that's a lot easier said than done. It's not an easy task. But I know that Tennessee's going to be up to that task just because this fan base ain't going to keep on selling it for this crap. Sick of it. Okay, so Earl is saying that if they got rid of Banks, don't they have to buy him out? And is there anybody that I think would be a good fit? I don't know. So with Coach Banks, is he in the middle of a contract? Yeah, so he just signed a contract last season. Yeah, it'd be some type of buyout. It's not going to be major. I mean, we can take care of that. We can take care of that. But yeah, like I said, the guy that's at Penn State right now, he was at Ohio State last season. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he would be my first candidate. I kind of like Michigan's DC. So for those of y'all that have been here for a long time, we talked about Michigan's defense back when they won the national championship. And we talked about they run a whole lot of man coverage. They blitz a lot. They run the 2-4-5. It's a lot of man. But their personnel says that we can't run man that much this season. So now they're running a lot more zone. Their defense isn't great. You know, they got blown out by the Buckeyes on Saturday. But they don't have a whole lot of talent, though. You know, so that's kind of like, back to my point, that the margin of difference between these top-tier defensive coordinators, which I still think Coach Banks is up there. I know a lot of folks are going to laugh at that or whatever, but I think that he is up there from a mindset standpoint. Doesn't mean that he's getting the message right to the players, but it is a very small margin. I just want to go forwards and not backwards, and if we could very easily go backwards. But yeah, you also have to give him some more talent too. Like that's something that we have to do in the offseason. So this one from Sam saying that I'd go DJ Durkin to coach our defense and tell Banks to walk. Yeah, you know, I think that Durkin has a really good defense. You know, I was going through looking at Auburn's numbers and things like that. And not even necessarily like specifically Auburn's numbers, but as I go through and look at what the teams that we're playing up against, like the offenses, what their numbers look like, whenever Auburn's on that list, I notice that they're really good versus to run. Really, really, really good versus to run. It always starts there. Good defenses always start there. I think that he's got some off-the-field baggage. Didn't a player die or something under his watch? I'm not okay with that. Like, I don't want players dying. I don't want to win that bad. Okay, like I'm not saying that it's definitely going to happen, but he might be a little bit too far off the scales. You got to turn it up, but you can't. I don't want to rip the knob off necessarily, and I think that might be ripping the knob off. That's just me. But I mean, he might be open, or Coach Golich might hold on to him. I don't know, but we shall see. I think that it's maybe like a little bit telling that he didn't get the head coaching job at Auburn, you know, and he hasn't stayed places very long either. You know what I mean? But I'm not mad at what you said there. I totally. What I love is having an answer. Don't just have a bunch of problems without an answer. I love that you came with an answer. That says a lot. You are fully vested in trying to help us win. And you know what? Maybe it'll end up working out. I'm just giving you my own personal preferences. All right, so this next one, saying that we need to get an absolute menace for a DC and let him build his staff to complement Hype's offense. Give him a blank check. Yeah, I think that if we do go hire a new defensive coordinator, you probably want for him to bring in his guys. Because, I mean, everyone wants their guys. Like, they want to feel comfortable and people that they've worked with and so on and so forth. But you brought up a really, really good point. I don't know if you meant to or not, but I think that with this speed offense that we run, spread offense, speed offense, it's very tough. Like, Tennessee's defense has been on the field more than every team in the SEC, I think, outside of Mississippi State. So that's another part of the reason that the stats don't look great. That's another part of the reason that like in 2024, the defense looked tremendous. Why? Because we ran the football a lot. We still ran a whole bunch of plays, but we were able to eat up more clock. It wasn't hurry up and score. We had to sit on the ball more. We had to grind out wins on offense. Helps the defense out. It has to go hand in hand. Goes back to my point, too, about Coach Heupel. He's got to change up some things. I love the tempo and spurts, but you got to graduate past that elementary school stuff. Like, you can't run it all the time. It's just not going to work. It's now counterproductive. As before, when we weren't as talented, it was more productive. We had some scrappy, feisty guys that weren't very, I'm not going to say weren't very talented, but weren't as talented as what we have right now. So, and plus people didn't really know how to stop the offense. Now they know. So slow it down and get yourself into the right play. Help the defense out. Okay, so this one from Earl saying, is there any OC that I would feel better? That I feel would be better. This is the thing. Coach Heupel's offense is so unique. There's more people running this stuff now because there's more from the Heupel tree, but it's still, I don't know anybody that knows this system. As far as can somebody learn it, the veer and shoot is not hard to learn. Very easy to learn. Really, I think everything that we do it's pretty basic level. Like it's not overly complicated. There's nothing that we do that's complicated. Not on offense, nothing. So you could probably bring in a good play caller and have him learn the scheme and just like let him take over play calling. Because I would love to change our tendencies. I don't like I like the throwing it down the field sometimes. Like I like the taking the chances. I do like that. I want to kind of err more on that side of things. But at the same time, everyone's sitting on our tendencies. People know when we're going to run it. They know when we're going to pass it. If it's a big play, especially like a big passing play, the next play is going to be a run. Like 95% or more of the time. That's inexcusable. It's very tough. Very, very tough to be able to operate on this level when people know exactly what you're doing. Okay, so this one from Tony saying that honestly, guys, with the exception of last year's excellent D, Coach Hype has never really put championship defenses on the field. You can't just outscore people in the SEC and win games. Yeah, I think that just goes right back to the point that we were just making, that very tough to play good defense with this sort of an offense. You got to slow it down. You got to help the defense out some. And we got to be a lot better with the running game. It can't just be, hey, we're going to spread the field out, because that's part of the have to go fast stuff for that to work. But spread the field out and run it right at folks and all that. You got to be able to have like a real offense. That's a big part of the reason I am concerned personally. All right, so this next one from Jeff Samuel. Thank you for being a member, Jeff. Appreciate you for chiming in. As always, bro, haven't faced a more critical offseason since Fire and Former. With Hype, we are close and don't want to go backwards, but clearly aren't going to win a natty without several huge changes. And I think that that's a fact. I think that those are all facts. Like, this is a huge offseason. Huge. And we're going to spend a lot of time breaking it down and going through everything. As much information as I can bring to y'all, I will. It's going to be a lot more information, though, for our members, for sure. But, and it's about to, trust me, it's about to be a whole lot of that coming out. But, yeah, I mean, we have to get it figured out. And there does have to be changes, because there's really no reason. I know that everyone was saying, hey, preseason, this team is 8-4, 9-3. I didn't think. I said preseason that we should lose 2 games. And if you go back and if you look at everything, really, and I would say the Vanderbilt game, that's one that we definitely should have lost at home. Alabama, you could make the argument that we should have lost it. But there were some things that really turned the tide pretty quickly, for lack of a better term to use there. But turned the tide pretty quickly in Alabama's favor. But versus Georgia should have won. Versus Oklahoma definitely should have won. So it's like we really shouldn't have lost the games that we lost, and that's what's frustrating, is the way that we lost. It's like we didn't really lose because we were the worst teams necessarily. We lost because we were doing stupid shit. That's a problem. Got to stop doing that. Okay, so Sam saying that last year we played 2 competent offenses and they both went up and down the field on us, bank straight up sus. Now, I disagree with that. I'm not going to say that we played 2 competent offenses. I know that that's kind of like one of the narratives out there, but I totally disagree with that. This is the SEC. All the offenses, they're all tough. All of them. And you can't just go back hindsight's 2020 and say, oh, well, this offense did yada, 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 yada. Like, this is where they finished ranked at. Go and look at the game logs and see where did Tennessee rank at from a defensive standpoint versus the other teams that they played, and that gives you your answer. And it's not even a total answer, because what type of changes did they make? You know what I'm saying? Like, did they upgrade somewhere? Was it a freshman or some player that wasn't playing that came in and all of a sudden just looked great? You know what I mean? Did they change up some of their scheme things? Was a coach fired? Did they play better or worse? Was it at home? Was it on the road? This is way too many layers to be able to say that. That's where I'm at with it. I would have to disagree with that. I'll give credit where it's due. You go through an SEC schedule, period, point blank, and you're ranked the way the Tennessee was ranked. You got to give flowers for that. Have to. All right, so this next one from Andrew saying that Yeppin last year was an outlier because we had so many older players, especially on the D-line. I don't think that it was an outlier, and I know that you might be getting back to the chat that we just talked about. I don't think that it was necessarily an outlier. I think this year is probably more of an outlier because our team is the youngest in the SEC. Our team last season wasn't the oldest in the SEC. Definitely wasn't. Yeah, we had some old guys, but it was just, to me, probably just like a average aged team, really, you know? So, like, you're going to have up and down years from that standpoint. So this one from Coy saying the Tim Banks went from having a good defense to so there's a whole lot of people that kind of feel that way. FS is saying that winning changes the narrative on everything. The minimum has to be 10 wins. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily like put a minimum on winning, especially now going to a non-SEC game schedule. I'm not personally going to do that, and fine if y'all feel that way. I mean, I want to win every game. I think that that should be the goal for sure. It should be a very realistic goal too. If it's not realistic, then we're not doing something needs to get fixed. Something needs to get upgraded. But just make it to the college football playoffs every year. That's where I'm at. It's going to be a 16-team playoff next season. You should definitely be able to make it. I'm not talking about in the hunt on the outside looking in whenever it's all said and done. I don't care what the schedule is. I don't care. Get it figured out. You got to make it. You got to find a way to make it. You got to start finding ways to win. And if we can't do that, then the personalities aren't right leading this team. I think that that's probably like the overall biggest problem. Actually, let me tap back into the chat. I'm gonna come right back to that chat that I had just pulled up. Okay, so now things are saying, so 55% say that Tim Banks is the change that needs to be made. The strength staff is at 22%, 14% for Coach Heupel, and 9% for other. I would like to know what y'all think, or what y'all's other is. Okay, so let me get to this. We're going through the same thing Ohio State went through last season. No, we're not. No, we are not. Ohio State made it to the college football playoffs last season and then won the national championship. Tennessee's nowhere near that. I think I kind of get what you're trying to say. But how many games did they lose last year? Was it just the one versus Michigan, or was it 2? We've lost 4 games. It's not the same. And yeah, you can make the argument. Big Ten schedules, way easier, especially for the Buckeyes. Like, they've got about 90% of the talent in that conference, and everything else is kind of like spread out. So yeah, inexcusable from a coaching standpoint. But yeah, I would have to say that I don't know if that's quite apples to apples. not for me personally. But let me touch on this strength staff thing real quick. 'Cause I don't know if I even talked about it, but I had meant to earlier. With our strength staff, y'all, we do have to upgrade. I know that I did say that, but man, we can be a lot stronger. We can. It feels like we went backwards from a strength standpoint with our defensive line. With the same players. That's what I'm talking about. The same players to me looked not only weaker, not all the time, not by like a huge margin, but it shouldn't be any margin of getting weaker for the same players that were on the team last season. Clumsier, way too much falling down. I think change of directions. Like, shoot, we're gonna pull out more of the film for our members, and y'all gonna say this like a lot of times just falling down. I don't know, was the ground wet? Did it rain or something? Falling down way too much. I put that on the strength staff. A lot of times people say, well, we had too many injuries. That's on the strength staff. Yeah, a lot of times that can be. I think that we've been relatively clean from that standpoint. I think that we've had some people held out for some minor things that they shouldn't have been held out for. That's not on the strength team. That's on the medical team. So they need to, and you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Take care of the kids, but also know that we got to win ball games. So they're gonna have to play. This is football. They're not out there playing, whatever other sport, basketball, baseball, and stuff, where you kind of like get nicked up and you can sit out. Nope. You got to play through all that stuff. Most of that stuff. If you don't have breaks and tears and stuff, and with some of the tears, you can cast it up, put it on your hand, or, if you got hand stuff, you can still play through that. If you can't walk, then you can't play. That's the old school mindset. Maybe that's way out there, but I'm just saying they got to get that figured out. But yeah, strength team, I think, needs an upgrade. I really do. I think that would make a huge difference, because think about the defense, all the missed tackles, all the times we're missing run fits. A lot of times we're getting blocked, we're getting held, we can't get off holes, we can't get to the hole quick enough. And we're missing tackles because we're not physically strong enough to be able to get people down, because we don't have a kind of like a psycho mindset, which can come from the head coach. It can come from the strength staff. Get them on some juice. I mean, if you can pass the test, find a way to win. Find a way to win. So yeah, I think that we got to upgrade there for sure. And I think that would be to me, that's probably the biggest change, probably like the most immediate impact change that Tennessee can make if we go and get the right strength team. And I hate to do that. I hate to call people out, but things just are what they are. So this next one from Dirty Higgins. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you for being a member, and appreciate you for chiming in as always. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That's a fact. If we don't go make the changes, then obviously we're going to be in the exact same spot that we've been in. You cannot do the same thing and expect different results. That's the definition of whatever, like being crazy. Okay, so from Jeff saying, fire the strength staff and Banks, promote Inge to DC unless you have a great hire, and be ready for a scheme change next year with whole new defensive staff if Inge doesn't work. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I could definitely see that. Let me try to scroll through. I know that there's a lot of stuff coming in, y'all. I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to get to all these. I can tell you that right here, right now. We're just not gonna be able to. So I'm sorry for it, but there are a lot of chats, and listen, we appreciate every single one of them. It's just we'd be here for the next 10 hours if I tried to read off all of this stuff. So let me try to make sure. Okay, so let me make sure that I get to the super chats at this point. So this one right here from the only 10 UC, appreciate you for joining us. And really, so I guess now I'm just now figuring this out. I said this last night, but I think that this is just donating money. But it says thank you for your thank you for sending money in. But thank you so much to you. And we are going to play the super chat clip for you as soon as I can find it. Appreciate that so much. That definitely goes a long way for us. But let me try to jump in here real quick because I did want to try to briefly go through who Tennessee has in our class. I know most of y'all probably already seen this, but it is coming up, man. It is huge. So I'm just going to actually scroll this through. They've got all the rankings for all these players. This is from On3, but you can see where they're ranked at. Faison Brandon, Tristan Keys, Moa, who just visited Michigan this past weekend. He hasn't flipped, so that makes me feel great. I hope that he signs with us early. That's going to be beautiful. Now, also keep in mind this. I know that they say once the players are signed, things are over with. That's not necessarily true. And coaches will tell you that. They'll say, well, hey, you signed something, we can get you out of that. You know what I mean? Some of these coaches will do that. So once they get on campus is when we can really rest. But after they sign, I'd say that's about 95% done. TJ White at linebacker, I think, is a prototype Mike. Got him listed at 6'1", 225. I think he's going to come up on campus at about 235, maybe 240, prototype Mike, and just be like sideline to sideline. He should be able to push for some real playing time as a freshman just based off what I've seen. We'll see. How does he translate? Joel Wyatt as an athlete, a guy that wants to play in space. He wants to play at safety or maybe like wide receiver. Sounds like he wants to play more in the secondary. I've seen some folks asking, can he play at star? He's not there yet at all. 6'4", okay, he's probably over 200 pounds now. He's got a long way to go from understanding and learning how to play secondary. That is a skill. Kind of like baseball. Baseball is a skill game. It's a game that if you play it long enough, if you stick with it, if you've got some talent, you should be able to go on. You should be able to keep on graduating, right? Because it's about the skill. You got to have some special things, of course, but that's what secondary kind of is. It's more about skill. You got to have the natural raw talent, but he's very, very, very raw. But I think that he could be a really, really good safety for us, or he could be a good linebacker, or if he keeps on filling out, a really good pass rusher, which is what the staff wanted him to play in the first place. Gabriel Osenda, offensive tackle. He's got great size. I think he moves around pretty well. I think he's going to be good. We'll see how much better does he get with some of that coaching. Braden Rouse playing at backer. To me, he's a will linebacker. New to playing linebacker, played more tight end, has really good ball skills. He's going to be a problem. Linebacker room's deep, but I see him maybe pushing. I can see him pushing. He's coming from a really good program. I've been talking to people about that. Hey, go and get guys from winning daggum programs. Go and get folks who know what it takes to go win ball games. Tyreek King, I think he's an inside-outside guy, mostly a slot wide receiver. He's going to be able to take over where Braylon Staley leaves off at. Once Braylon Staley goes pro in the first round, Tyreek King, he should be the next guy up. He has great speed. He runs physical routes, too. Very similar to Braylon Staley from that standpoint. Braylon Staley's a physical guy. So is Tyreek King, and I think he's going to be really good for us. I don't know how much he can play for us as a freshman, but you just never know. Blair, love him as an offensive lineman. I think he's a tackle guard. Hezzy Harris at Leo or strong side end, going to need him for sure. I think that he could step up and get some burn. Zach Groves, strong side end or defensive tackle, and I think he's going to be a real problem. He's a young guy, which means his ceiling is super high. Looking forward to it. I think that this kid here, Zay Anderson, expect him to play a lot next season. I'm talking about play a lot. He has a chance to, if he wants to, if we have a vacancy at star, he's a guy that I feel like maybe he's got to fill out. He's got to get more physical to be able to play at star. So maybe scratch that. as a true freshman. But outside corner, he's going to be very, very, very good. Very good. He's a prototype cornerback. I'm very high on him. Gotta hold on to him. He can also do some offense stuff. He can do special teams, whatever. Big old Albert, man, defensive tackle. Can he get up to about 320? If he can, he's going to be rotating in, all right? He's going to be rotating in, so he's teammates with TJ White. Kendrick Golston, strong side in. Love his game. I think that he could help out. Obviously his pops played a long time, but yeah, really twitchy player, strong player. Darrell Rivers, another guy, defensive line, problem. Major problem. Hope that we can hold on to him. Everybody's after him now. Everybody. Listen, tall, long arms, explosive, and listed at 270, easily gets up over 300, probably by the time the season starts, if not 295. He should be able to help you out playing at defensive tackle as well. All right, and then we got Javonte Smith at corner. He could be a wide receiver guy. He could be a special teams guy. Love his game. Really good in-state guy. Maybe star. Might take him some time. Joel Combe, bro, at safety, I think he's got a chance. I think he's got a real shot. Love what I've seen from him. His size is outrageous. 6'2", 190 is what they're saying here. I think he's every single bit of that. Comes up at about 205, and he'll stick his face in there. Give me the guys at safety that will stick their face in there, and I don't want nobody else. Every single time, stick your face in there. And if you can't do that, you can't play safety, period. I'm sick of seeing that crap. I'm sick of folks that are going to turn it down for any reason. You can't turn it down playing at safety, but his coverage is also really good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. All right, so Luke Thompson, going to be kind of a project. Special teams, man. Wide receiver, he's a really fast guy. He has real, true track speed. Put the football in his hands and maybe cross-train him some as secondary, but same thing just like Joel White. It takes your time. Secondary is not. It takes a while if you're raw to get that figured out. So KJ McClain, I think he's a star player. I think that he could do some good things at star force push, be that depth piece. CJ Edwards, I think as a Leo more than likely, maybe strong side in as well. I think that he's got the twitch, got the burst, got the pop. That room might be kind of deep, but he could probably crack into that. He could probably crack into the mix some. And then Theodore, I think that he's a corner/star. For me, he's more of a star. And then we got Edward Baker as a interior offensive lineman. Love all those guys. Luka Wolf, so he's a tight end that Tennessee just here recently brought into this class. Okay, so that is everything. Hopefully everything was okay. Yes, everything was moving. Okay, good. Always happy to see that. Okay, so yeah, man, look, we got a really good class coming in, but we got to be able to sign everybody, get them to the finish line. But we got to be able to add inside of the portal like we kind of talked about. Who all wants to leave? I think that there are some big names out there that are considering leaving. Okay, I can say it to you that way. I think that there's some. I think that now that there are some pretty bigger names. Okay, so listen, I would love to be able to get to more of the chats, y'all. Really would, but I just can't because I'm starting to get crunched for time. But look, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow. Maybe we can do like another one of these at some point tomorrow. Obviously, the basketball team, I'm transitioning to basketball season. We got a big game, I think, versus Syracuse on Tuesday. But I think that they're going to be fun. But, yeah, just keep on rocking with us, man, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Again, thank y'all for chiming in. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them. But have a great rest of y'all's evening, and we'll be talking to y'all probably like tomorrow morning. Peace.